Today I wanted to work on adding logging. So right now we have this data stream that's coming in through event writer, but I've commented this out so we're not writing to the table event stream. So let's take a look at our migrations. So under priv, repo, migrations, event streams, we have this table here which we could be writing to, but it builds up a lot of records and we don't need these all the time, so I'd like to put it in something cheaper like S3. So my plan is to stream them into AWS's eventbus called eventbridge, and then we can send it to a FIFO SQS, maybe put it into a Lambda, which writes to either DynamoDB or maybe S3. So in order to do that, I wanted to build up the AWS infrastructure using CDK, but I didn't want to install that on my local machine. So I found this project here, which has Dockerized AWS CDK. So you can just run this command here, and it will put you at a shell mounting your current directory into a volume inside the container, as well as your credentials. So by default, your credentials will be put in a .aws folder. So that will make CDK available. And so I've created a file to reference this script called CDK, which will run that Docker command. And I will create another one now for AWS. And so a related file to this project is Docker AWS CLI, which is this guy here, and this will run this command doing the same thing. So what this will do is it will open up a shell mounting, again, that binding your local .aws to /root/.aws in the volume, and also your current working directory, and putting you at a shell with the AWS command. So I'll save that, add some permissions for that. And so now those are both available. So if I run it for the first time, it should be AWS. It should maybe do that, something like that. Oh, I need to feed these arguments in, right? So if I actually, it will put me at the prompt. So this will download the image. So I'm going to pause the video. So I'm at the prompt now, and that will, I think, allow me to do things like that. Okay, and I'll be able to do AWS configure. I think it's configure. And so I'm going to pause the video now and enter my credentials, which will be saved on my local machine. All right, so what I did is I logged into the AWS console and I created a new IAM user, and then I filled in the rest of the business on the AWS bash. And now I can run my CDK init in my root folder. And I think that'll create a directory. Maybe I want to create maybe I just want to make a directory for this. Let's call it AWS stuff. Oh, the file exists. Let's call it infrastructure. CD infrastructure. Now we'll do CDK init in here. Okay, right. So we'll want to do that file. Can I do that? that just puts us at the shell. We have to, okay, where am I? Hold on. Exit. Okay, I would think I want to run CDK here. Okay, then go into infrastructure. Okay, then I want to CDK init here. Alright, newer version of CDK is available, upgrade recommended, npm install, global CDK. Okay with this. Available templates. So we want TypeScript, CDK init app, language equal TypeScript, and that's it. I wonder which version we're on though. 2.25.0. I think I'll pause this and maybe upgrade it and then reinstall it. Oh, it just finished, so let's do CDK version 2.10.0, and they're recommending 2.25.0. So what if we, and what did it create for us? It created all these files. We can go and remove them. Let's see, remove infrastructure. Okay, make a folder called infrastructure, cd infrastructure. Let's also npm install global AWS CDK, npm install global AWS-CDK. Okay, so CDK version. Okay, and then CDK init CDK init app language equal TypeScript. One more time. And it's done. Here we are. We have an infrastructure, and it's created these folders. We have infrastructure stack. Interesting. That's what they called it. Okay. Infrastructure stack. Okay, so we could put stuff in this stack, like creating a queue, for example. Okay, so what's in our JSON package? Okay, we have Okay, library constructs. Let's create an event bus. So let's Google how to do that. So CDK eventbus event bus. So here's how you create it. Bus new events event bus. Click here to view the version 2 documentation. Okay. AWS events event bus bus.archive archive name intention. Okay, so I think it's this. So we go to the infrastructure lib. Code that defines your stack goes here. So we put that. Doesn't know what events are. And lib AWS events event bus. Events. And is this AWS events? Event bus. Could you have import just event bus? This, let's call the bus name VXR bus. Event bus name R bus. So that should create our event bus. Failed to save, unable to write, because yes, the infrastructure is created by this guy, and let's see, all of this is owned by root. So can I just change the owner? Okay, so discard. Let's do that here. Exit. Let's see, change owner. Docker shared folder. Change owner username in the folder. Change owner. sudo change owner username cursive infrastructure. Okay, let's see if that helped at all. Saved, looks like it worked. So, and now I need to run CDK. So if I go to CDK again, to CDK, what are the commands? Stage, list, diff, watch, deploy, synthesize. First, CDK, app is required in command line and CDK JSON, or how about CDK diff? Oh, I need to be in here. Right, okay, CDK list. CDK CLI is not compatible with the CDK library used by our application. Please upgrade the CLI to the latest version. Oh, great. I shouldn't have upgraded. Now everything is all messed up. Hmm? Okay, something happened. Let's get this. Okay, so I recreated a infra directory and I was able to run the CDK init. I made some changes to the CDK script in order to change the owner. So this one will do the same thing it was doing before. This comes from this other project. Where is it? Nick Betts Phoenix. Yeah, Docker Phoenix. So he's able to run mix from Docker, and his script runs this command. So I kind of copied that and modified that. So this is the inspiration of where it comes from, but I modified. So we run docker run, it mounts as regular, it specifies an entry point, and then you pass in whatever commands you want to run with the entry point. This is the image that you want to run. Then you mount everything again and change the user over. So we don't need this stuff. We don't need this stuff. And we'll repeat the same thing over on the AWS script side. Grab this as well in case we need it. And the only change here is the CLI, and I believe it is a AWS change CLI. That should do it. And then what I did was so these are at the root. I created a folder because these are no longer shell prompts, they are scripts. So I created a folder called infra, and then I cd'd into the folder, and then I ran ... command, which references this up at the root, and it appeared to work, and all of these files are assigned to me. So now I can do CDK. So there's no CDK in this folder. We'll have to do ... CDK, or I can move those into this folder, I think. So move CDK into infrastructure CDK, move AWS into infrastructure AWS, because that's where I think I'll need them. So if I go into infrastructure now, I can well, at least we can do this CDK over here. We should be able to do something like CDK what list, app stack. Is that what I have? Infrastructure lib app stack. Okay, looks like it. App stack. Let's create our event bus again. Where's that bit? Here. And show me a CDK, what? CDK, can we just deploy it? We need a bootstrap. CDK bootstrap. What was it? Current credentials cannot be used to assume this role. Now we're bootstrap. So can you deploy now? Said it created it. Let's go and inspect our AWS account. So let's refresh this page. Event buses. We got a custom event bus right here. It's our event bus. Nice. Okay, and then we can tear it down as well, right? So we can do CDK. Just have one stack, so we can do destroy. I'll tear it down. I don't want to tear it down though. Let's add some more things. So we have a bus, and how do we send things to the bus? We need to add something. So does Elixir have an event bus client? So Elixir AWS client bus. Let's see. AWS Beam. AWS clients for Elixir. AWS clients. With that, you can have access to almost all AWS services without has a clean API separated per service. Each module has a corresponding support for most of AWS services. Convertible HTTP client JSON parser generated by AWS CodeGen using the same JSON descriptions of AWS services used to build AWS SDK for Go. Client. Yes, client. Create this. Okay. So AWS Kinesis list streams. So you can upload a file and check. Installation. Add AWS to your list of dependencies in Mix. Also requires Hackney for the default HTTP client. Optionally, you can implement your own. Okay. What version are we on? We are on 0.11. 011. Alright, let's just add these to our depths. Mix depths. Add it here. It always does this. I think we always have to do something out here. We need to mix depths get. And then close this. Close. Put up mix again. It's still not okay. Let's try rebooting it. Next step, guess to install. Okay, so if we want to create a client, we create it with this thing and this thing. So I guess we can put our access key ID and secret access key into, shall I install hex? Yes. In our environment sample. So we can, don't show again for this. Yes. Okay. So we can have AWS access key ID, AWS secret what? Secret access key. And I'll pause and I'll paste those into my M file. Okay, after restarting the code editor, this is no longer highlighted red, and I added these environment variables which correspond to the documentation to say if you've setting the environment variable changes the value used till the end of your shell session. So I think most libraries will pick this up. Otherwise, they get it from your home directory .aws as a secret credentials file. Now, inside the, let's see, the process for the event writer. So when we initialize this, we probably want to initialize a client. So init, the state does not matter. I think we want some state here now. So we can say that the perhaps the AWS client is client. And here we will create a client. looks like you can create with just nothing. This will just get AWS default region and create region, and it'll also create the AWS access key, which will system get env, and these are defined as yep. So I think this will just work. I think you can just call create. So this might be okay like that. Now we have the client. And now what do we have? First, let's see if that doesn't crash. So if it goes to server, and let's just load up space over here. Alright, okay, we'll move it around. Of course, nothing's being broadcast here, but we have this business now. We could do something with this client now. Now we need another kind of client. We need the a specific kind of client. So AWS Kinesis list streams with the client. So we need eventbridge something or other. AWS. What do we have here? Eventbridge dot put events client input. Okay, so this is the input part. So let's just pass the client, and I think here we want to do the input part. We have the state let's just call this AWS client, and put events input, and you process message up to 100 input, and then options, and this does a request close client. Put events. So what is the shape of the input? Input and then options. So what is input and what is options? So let's look at the AWS documentation. AWS SDK put event bridge. Put events entries. What language is this? Event bridge. Let's look at Golang SDK. PHP. No, I want event bridge SDK Golang. Because they have good types. Where is it? Event bridge. Here. Okay. put events input. Okay, this is a function of the event bridge. I don't have an event bridge here. This poses a problem. I don't think I have the right client here. Client create. Let's look at this API here again. Create a client. So maybe the client is the first parameter. Yes. Okay. So that's fine. It's a slightly different API. So we just want the shape of this input puts event. So this is the client. Put events input is okay. Then this takes the endpoint ID and entries. So put events has an input. I'm going to assume camel case the way it is here. So I'm going to assume this. So let's say that input equal map with an endpoint ID and entries. And let's say endpoint ID is some string, and entries is an array of that thing. And entries is a put events request entry. Put events request entry. Where is that? That is this, which is detail. Okay, JSON object. Okay, copy this. And so all of these can be mapped into entries, actually. Really missed the IntelliSense here. So let me move this out of here. In fact, I just want to test to see if this will work. Why don't we create a client here? So client equals AWS client dot create. What is it? Sorry. Okay. And let's just use the client and the put events thing and try to invoke some errors. So we created the client here, and we're going to do some of this stuff here. AWS event bridge put events with the client and empty object. that. Gives you an error, body error, validation error, value null at entries. Failed to satisfy member must not be null. So what is it saying? Entries cannot be null. So entries, if it does this, okay, still null there. Did it have to be a string? Still null. How about entries, capital? Still null. Greater than the 1. Okay, so what if you put something in here? Okay, primary source is not valid. Reason source is required. Okay, so that definitely works. Now, can it be a symbol? Entries. Okay, so it cannot be a symbol. And it can't be that, so it has to follow the JSON. Okay, so that getting somewhere, and I'm assuming we need the endpoint ID, which should be in our account underneath the thing. I'm pretty sure it's this part here. Oh, the event by that failed to satisfy regular expression pattern starts with a z dot followed by some slashes. So I think it might want the ARN. It wants the ARN. Value that failed to satisfy constraint must have less. Okay, so maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just this part. Yeah, maybe it's just this part. Copy that. That part. No. Okay, look at this endpoint. Let's see. The Elixir put event endpoint in the example, not Elixir, but eventbridge. Show me an example. HTTP service region. Oh. So it's not the ARN of this, it's the, what is the endpoint? Are we talking about the global endpoint? No, that's a new thing. This is constructing a new endpoint object. We do it for endpoint. Maybe you don't need it because entries, it has the event bus name in the entries, so maybe you don't need the endpoint ID at all. Okay. In which case now we define the detail, and then detail type, event bus name, here's where I say it's BXR event bus. Yeah. What else? Resources, source. So what were the earlier areas? It said must satisfy the pattern. Yeah. Okay, source is not valid. So source is a required argument. Okay, let's go one at a time. We probably need event bus. Detail and detail type. I'm guessing we probably need that, but it mentions source first. So let's put in source. And this is I guess elixir. Detail type. Detail type, I think that's up to us. So this is what do we call kind of event. Detail. And this is detail. Detail is malformed. Detail is a string value. Source string, detail, a valid JSON object. There's no other schema imposed. Okay, so detail. Okay, detail must be JSON coded. Line. Detail. Or just here. Okay, entries. Event ID failed entry count is 0. Body failed entry count. Okay, so that can submit you a payload. Okay, so for all our entries, so we want to have a side effect here that's processing the event, but we think we want to return. The last thing we want to return is actually this entry part, this source business. Side effect of processing each event into a snapshot goes here. Return value is a entry for eventbridge. So source elixir detail type. Event type. Yeah, this is the event type, entity created, etc. I'm not even sure that's the event type. So detail can be the event, full event. I'm going to convert this to JSON, which would be JSON encode. Let me check something. How do you encode? JSON encode. Take this, we get OK. Okay, so does that work? Yep. Event. Okay, so that gives you a bunch of entries. So this will be entries, meaning I'll map over all the events. And now we have entries. So now we can take the state, AWS client, and plug the entries into here. Examine this first. So let's do inspect entries, label entries. So now if we go over here, and just by moving around, we produce tons of events. Here are entries. Detail is event timestamp, blah blah blah, sequence, memo moved. It's a type of event. And do we have the space? We do have everything. We have the space ID, the type, what's going on. Pause. I want to see if there is something that tells me what kind of production development environment we're in. Okay, never mind. Looks like there's no way to get the environment, and the standard way is to inject variables into your config that you can then find out, which I was thinking of maybe populating that as a source, whether we are in dev, creating data, or in prod. So could, for example, put something into our configuration here between configuration here, for example. I think maybe we have some things in what, XR root. This checks environment, production. No. Here we go. Honey Badger environment name. Environment name. So we kind of did this. We said Honey Badger environment name. Test environment name. And then we kind of use that. So maybe we don't call it environment Honey Badger. Okay, we could use that for now because it's popular for dev, test, and prod, I believe. In dev, we put it here. In test, and did we even put it in prod? Config. We didn't even put it in prod. Dev and test. But here's where we drop it. We say if it's prod, then put this Honey Badger for the JavaScript. So this isn't even getting set right now. Ah, okay. Well, let's change that as well. Why don't we call this something config let's just call it VXR. VXR. Dev test and prod. Set. Let's bring that back online. And so if we check the way we're using it here, the XR, and so if we call this now, we get dev, and our writer, our source. You can also put our env name can be our env name. Fetch that once. So over here we can use the source as state and name. It's a type of event. There's detail goes there. And so we should be writing that. So we can inspect that here. bunch of entries. All right, we'll take a break here, and then in the next one, we'll do something with that with more CDK stuff, but it's a good place to check in.